All right, so today I'm going to be breaking down Nick's settings, $345,000 per month sales funnel. Without any further ado, let's get straight into it. If you guys don't know who Nick is, he's essentially the biggest content guru within the info space. And I don't say guru in a derogatory way. He's actually the GOAT, very good at content, absolutely slaps with his personal brand, makes a shit ton of money. That's why we're going to be breaking down here so you can go ahead and copy that a little bit and make some more money within your coaching business as well. So essentially for his Instagram, we're going to start off right here because this is the top of funnel where he's getting most of his kind of eyeballs and traffic, as you can see off of just the 200,000 followers that he's already got on there. Now, in the bio, he's got the standard advisory linked right here. Now, the standard advisory is something completely new. And he's not really mentioned what this is, right? He hasn't really mentioned what exactly this is and what he's going to be using this for, but I will be explaining what I think it is and my hypothesis on specifically why he's transitioned here in a moment. He's kind of explained it a little bit, but essentially all you need to know is he's running what's called a whisper, tease, shout funnel for this. That's why nobody really knows what the fuck is going on. He's essentially going to whisper, tease, and then shout. This is the same kind of strategy we use for a lot of our launches for our clients. The reason this works is because you go ahead and give someone a reason to care. They care more and more because people want to know stuff they don't know. Curiosity gets the better of them, and that's why they start caring about that launch, at which point when they're looking forward to it, a launch performs 10 times better than it would without a whisper, tease, shout funnel. Now, in the bio, he has the link to his YouTube private masterclass. Now, this is where he's funneling people into his long form content, where he's going to go ahead and nurture them. We're going to get into that again in a moment. But essentially, for his content itself, it's super simple. Now, fundamentally, the structure that he's gone for is extremely high status, high power positioning, to make you subconsciously understand that he's a high status person. Now, he deliberately chooses the editing style, the specific types of content he's posting, where he's posting the content, where he's filming, what time he's filming, to make each piece of content as conducive for you to feel as if it is highly produced as physically possible. So high editing, extremely fast, kind of not pacing, but rather extremely fast or dense value sections in each and every single piece of content. Even if there's a clip from a talk, right? For example, over here, each and every single one of these has a slower track in the background. There's not any crazy cuts in there. It is all slow paced and actually focuses on his voice and the value that he's providing to the viewer, subtly making everything a lot more fucking premium. On top of that, the second type of content he posts is this kind of talk content with his clients at their masterminds, right? For example, this video right here. This is where he's talking to a boardroom of clients, and they're all looking at it. They're all learning from it. They're all taking notes, essentially. And you'll see that instantly when you see 20 guys that are at a very high level, presumably, or business owners, at least in general, that are listening to one person, you generally feel that that person probably has some sort of authority that you want to kind of understand and kind of want to fulfill your curiosity of who this guy actually is. And that a lot of the time is the reason that people will watch these videos, especially. Same thing with these ones as well, but this more subtly kind of signals it, and this one is much easier to fake, specifically these ones. But here, when your clients are visible, it is extremely difficult for that to possibly ever happen. Now, the third type of content is this kind of sit-down content, and this is more so the extremely high-produced content that I mentioned earlier. This is where he'll sit down and just talk about a certain topic and concept in extreme detail. And you'll notice a lot of the time, for Nick, he's gone into a more landscape-based story or Instagram strategy in general, because landscape based makes it instantly so much more cinematic and honestly different from everybody else in your feed, because, well, nobody else on this fucking platform is posting landscape content on a short form platform, right? It makes no sense. But rather, that's the reason that works for Nick, because nobody else is doing it. It instantly gets some sort of uniqueness when you're able to pull it off in a cinematic way that is genuinely appealing to the eyes. Instantly, you are standing out from the crowd very quickly, no matter what you do, right? Now, those are the main types of content that he's actually posting, but specifically for the story highlights, you'll see that he has a very simple spread, right? They are all focused on results, most of them at least. Now, as you can see, clients, and a lot of people will be like, okay, well, why isn't there a unique story highlight strategy? Well, the fucking highlight strategy is the client, because nobody cares about you. Fundamentally, they just care about themselves. And what shows them that you can get the result better than you showing that you've gotten the result for hundreds of fucking people before you? Very simply, nothing else, right? Then you might notice the new here and the start story highlight. Now, these two are onboarding story highlights, I like to call them, for your Instagram. When you get somebody on your Instagram, the first thing that they see is going to be your story highlights. Keeping these at the top will make it so that they have a very simple sequence to go through, right? So they'll read through start first, then they'll read through wins, then they'll read through new here. Very simple. And then clients, if they're genuinely curious and they're more of a hot lead that wants to see the results that you've actually gotten. Now, if you're a coach, that is the only time that you have some sort of personality that you really have to show. If you are some sort of done for you service provider or agency or whatever it might be, you always want to keep your story highlights focused on the results. As a coach, you can add in, for example, my story highlight or something like that to give a little bit of personalization and show who the hell you yourself are. And this can work for done for you service-based businesses, but it has to be done right for those. For coaches, very simple task. You just need to recap your story, right? But at the same time, do not be posting your fucking lifestyle stuff on your story highlights. Why do I say that? Because that is going to instantly paint you as a douche. If you want to do lifestyle, put it on your temporary story. It can stay up for 24 hours. You can post pictures every day. That is going to build so much more personalization and personality rather than you putting them in your story highlights. If you want to put them and you really want to keep them there, put them at the end. The clients matter way fucking more to the people that are watching your content than your trip to Malibu, right? And that's kind of the full breakdown of the Instagram, because once you've gotten through all of these massive amounts of just social proof, conditioning, and just fundamentally propping Nick up on a pedestal, you then want to get to know more about Nick himself, and you want to kind of see longer form videos where he's giving more value because you're curious, well, he's given a fuck ton of value in short form. What if he has more on the long form? That's why he has this YouTube funnel going in here. The first video he redirects you to is actually this video right here, and this is what's called an undercover VSL. An undercover VSL is essentially a video that is designed to sell you, but it's on a platform that you might not expect to be sold to on, which in this case is YouTube. Now, with an undercover VSL, the simple task is different between B2B versus B2C. B2B, you want to give as much value as possible. You want to show your status and your client results throughout multiple times. And you really want to focus on showing that you are a market of one, really adding uniqueness to yourself, whether that's by showing your proprietary systems, tools, whatever it might be, or by just giving your own value and your own frameworks that you use for clients and giving your results that you've gotten using those frameworks and showing that they are not used anywhere else, right? If you are B2C though, it's a completely different story. Why? Because what you actually want to do fundamentally is sell the person that is coming onto your video on the business model. Now, why not yourself? Well, if you're selling them on yourself, why would anybody care to watch the entire video? It is a losing battle that you're fighting because nobody cares about you. Nobody gives a fuck about you. Nobody wants to hear about you. Nobody gives a genuine shit about you at this point. You need to understand that in a funnel, you want to think in the way of if something's going to go wrong, it has gone wrong or it will go wrong. So you want to focus all in on how the business model slaps, how the business model is amazing, because now you're in a neutral position to where you're not trying to convince them that you're amazing. You're not trying to convince them that they're amazing. You're just trying to teach them and educate them on a third neutral party, which they can look at with no actual contempt or feelings towards it at the beginning, and you can mold their feelings and the relationship with that specific business model from the beginning. And if you're able to do that, what is surprising is that people will actually thank you more because you sold them on the business model rather than if you gave them just a shit ton of value as a B2C creator. Because fundamentally what they want is they just want their belief to be broken. And in this process, you also sell them on the business model because at the end of the undercover VSL, you can add a small CTA and you'll notice that, hey, they'll notice that this guy is the only person that is selling something like this to where he can fix all of the issues I saw or I spotted within the undercover VSL. And obviously you want to go ahead and subliminally message, or not subliminally message, but fundamentally kind of make people think throughout the video through small mentions and small little drops of quips throughout that might make them feel that, hey, I need some sort of help with this, or I need this specific thing for this to work, or I need that to be successful with this business model. And all of those things at the end, when you're pitching in the end of the video, the small CTA, you can go ahead and use those as ammunition that you've planted at a point when the prospect's brain was in low alert. They were not on alert. They were not having their guard up. And you can use that ammunition that you stored earlier and you reloaded the gun with earlier to shoot at the end of when you're actually giving the CTA. And each of those bullets, the more bullets you have, the better the chance this person will actually want to convert into your program. And then in the description, it's very simple. You want to go ahead and just do a work with me link, as well as some sort of link to a place where they can get your actual student results or your results that you've gotten for clients in general. And this is what Nick has done with Grow Acquisition. And we're going to break this down in a second as well. He also does link his Instagram for you to shoot him a message, or his setter a message technically. Because the setter will be responding to you, and they can set people on calls that want to go ahead and message Nick for questions, etc. And then, of course, the Calendly link is pretty self-explanatory. It's just a straight-up Calendly link that he tracks with UTM parameters, presumably. Now, from this YouTube video, what's going to happen is that we have quite a few places to go. Because fundamentally, in a funnel, you want to think of it very simply as, I need to get this person from step A to step B. Step C, D, E, all of those are irrelevant when you're at step A to B. You want to focus on that path. So you just need to get the person to the next step. Fundamentally, what this video does is that it might not be enough to sell the person on buying from you completely, but they have been sold on being interested in you fundamentally. And that is what you can use. You can capitalize on that interest, and they can go to the rest of your page. That's number one. They can go to the case studies that you have. This is more of the warmer leads that really want to convert, or they can message you on Instagram. And these are usually the warmest leads that you're going to get. So step one is they might go to your they might go to your main YouTube page, where they're going to be able to see a shit ton of hour-long videos, 30-minute long videos, 20-minute long videos that they can look through, where you're talking about genuinely high-level topics that they can get value from and understand that you are genuinely someone that knows what they're talking about. And a lot of the time, if you have case studies or results here as well, sprinkled in every once in a while, not obvious bottom of funnel videos, but a video, for example, like this, where you're disguising a bottom of funnel case study or testimonial as a more value video as well. Because in this case, he's helping a sales coach get to having her first personal brand, right? And so in that process, he's building a metric ton of authority as well. So it can act as a very good bottom of funnel video in the same vein that it is a middle of funnel video on the outside. So that's fundamentally what you're going to be able to do with your main YouTube. And once they're able to go to your YouTube, you might see that Nick has two links in his bio for YouTube, which is the Instagram link. And every single time he's always funneling people back to his Instagram, because obviously he wants DMs. DMs are the warmest possible leads you can get. And he also wants you to see the metric ton of results that he's got, the personality that he's built, the fundamental follower count that he has, even just off of just the mutuals that he has, right? You're going to be able to get a metric ton of authority just off of that, because he can borrow authority from other people. So let's say you like a very high level person like TJR, and TJR follows another trading coach, you're going to probably like this other trading coach, or you're going to fundamentally give the authority that you have to TJR, at least a small amount of it, to this new trading coach over here. Then on number two, it's the client results that he has on Grow Acquisition. And Grow Acquisition is his fully bottom of funnel YouTube channel. And this is what makes him the most money on paper. Now, obviously the entire funnel matters for this, but on paper, this is where he's getting the most conversions, because it is a fully bottom of funnel, case study based, results based YouTube channel with nothing but breakdowns of how he scaled people up to the next level. Testimonials, video testimonials, the most believable form of social proof on the fucking internet, right? Anything more believable, or the only thing more believable would be just seeing that in real life, which is unfeasible for the scale that Nick is at, right? So the second thing is, obviously, after you've gone to Grow Acquisition, he's going to go ahead and funnel you straight into Calendly, because he wants you to go straight to Calendly as much as physically possible. That's why he has multiple touch points where you are CTA'd into the Calendly booking link. And as you can see, the ecosystem that he's built for his content is always redirecting you to the right place, which is the Calendly link that he wants you to go to. But before I break that down specifically, I do want to mention the standard YouTube channel. Now, this used to be called @Mr. Nick Setting, and fundamentally, it went through a full rebrand into We Grow Personal Brands that bring ideal customers for your online courses, coaching, blah, blah, blah. And it's called The Standard, right? But more of a middle of funnel, super niche, raw and authentic YouTube channel, where he is posting the most raw videos, unedited thumbnails, getting a few hundred views, but the few hundred views that he's getting here are unfathomably valuable per view. Because now, you might notice as well, like these videos, they're not getting that many views, right? As I mentioned earlier, they're getting a few hundred views. Why are each of these views so valuable? Because the only people that are clicking on this video, for example, you might be clicking on this video. I know that you are fundamentally in some way very, very warm in the info space, very interested in the info space. Why do I know that? Because I have a very raw and authentic thumbnail, very raw and authentic title, and you still clicked on the video because you're interested in Nick's stuff, his content, or whatever it might be, right? You're interested in the info space fundamentally, and so you will be a very warm lead fundamentally for me. So the same thing applies to Nick's content here. If you are clicking on a video like this, you are extremely likely to be an extremely high quality lead. And that's what matters with the ticket that he's selling the standards services at. Because my personal hypothesis based off of what he has teased so far is, since he has the Instagram link right here, where you are getting the highest quality leads because he's being DM'd by someone on Instagram, where he can have the setter build rapport over weeks and weeks and weeks, and give special attention to each lead to where they're nurtured extremely heavily. What I suspect is that the standard is essentially the next level up of high ticket programs for Nick. He is going to be selling multi-six-figure packages on the standard, where he is going to be fulfilling directly himself with his extremely close, high-level content team. Now, what does that mean? He needs these people to be able to pay him 6 figures, right? To be able to get their content to a point where they're able to make more money with it. And he's going to come in, take out his time, and one-on-one help them scale. And again, because a lot of people will think that, oh, Instagram is overkill, the Instagram DMs and having them nurtured for weeks is fucking overkill. You need to realize that the sales cycles on offers that are at 6 figures, multi-6 figures, are so fundamentally different from the pussy ass numbers that we are doing in the kind of 50K a month, 100K a month levels of info, which is $5K a month, or sorry, $5,000 programs, $10,000 programs. These are fundamentally really cheap compared to, or very easy to sell compared to the actual programs that are being sold at the highest levels of info, which are the 6-figure, multi-6-figure programs, even 7-figure programs, full on high ticket, right? And these programs require a huge amount of trust, a huge amount of just kind of personality, a huge amount of testimonials, results, social proof, and just a very good track record. And for that to happen, it also requires a lot of personalization for the lead to really do that much research and understand who Nick fundamentally is at the end of the day, and whether they are worth, or the standard and Nick are worth giving multi-6-figure sums. So that's why this is not overkill. Rather, this is the next level of his business, because this is fundamentally what will get him to the next level of info for him specifically, because he's making, $300,000 a month, $350,000 a month. But if he's able to make $100,000 off of one client from the standard, very easily he can give his one-on-one time for that very, very easily, like completely. That's a very fair deal on his time. And all he would need is 10 clients from the standard to get to $1 million a month, rather than getting what could be 50 clients or 100 clients for the main kind of grow acquisition program. And obviously he's not going to stop that, but he's completely handed it off to his head of content to completely manage all of that, to where he is out of that business completely. It is a asset that is making him money fundamentally, but now he is focused all in on the new business venture, which will get him to the next level, which is going to be the 7-figure months that he's trying to get to. And essentially that is my hypothesis for what the standard is. And at the end of the day, that's a hypothesis, because at this point we only have a few teases of what exactly it might be. We don't know what it actually is. But fundamentally, the rest of the funnel is the Calendly link. And then he has the qualification questions on the forum. He asks, make sure that you're completely qualified, because he gets a lot of unqualified people. That's why he asks like 3 times, just main qualification questions. The reason he asks for text messages or phone number twice is a simple ask. It's just a lot of people will give their alt phone number on the first message or the first box, and so having them do that again can make sure that, hey, we're going to send you text messages, make sure that we can actually get you this, it's not your second phone number or whatever it might be. And then you go ahead and schedule the event at the end of the day, which then triggers his pre-call page, which is a very simple pre-call page, and then goes ahead and goes into the email sequences, the SMS sequences, which I will leave for another video because we've broken that down quite a bit on this channel. At the end of the day, this entire system relies on specific frameworks that Nick has already implemented and put in place for his own coaching business to scale to multi-6 figures per month. If you want someone who's already gotten to that level, to multi-6 figures per month with their own clients and gotten experience with that before, to implement those frameworks and help you scale to the next level within your coaching business, hit your next revenue milestone, whether it be mid 5 figures, initial 5 figures, high 6 figures, low 6 figures, whatever it might be, and manage your backend systems, everything from your kind of stories, your systems on the actual booking, the landing pages, the optimization, ads, content tracking, sales team, fulfillment, systematization, and generally just taking a shit ton of stuff off your plate so that you can go ahead and focus on the things that fucking matter for your own coaching business. I'll leave a link down below to book in a one-on-one call with me to go ahead and go over how we can do this for your own coaching business and get you to that next level. I'm absolutely hyped to see you on that call if you do book it. Otherwise, hoping to see you on one of these videos on screen right now. Have a good one. Peace.